I'm Priyanka, and on today's episode of Catch Up Talks on Social Catch Up, we have the world renowned and celebrated director Shonali Bose. So, firstly, Shonali, thank you for joining us on Social Catch Up. I just wanted to start by asking how was 2020 for you, and how's the beginning of 2021 looking so far?
2020, I actually enjoyed the pandemic. I discovered a new aspect of myself, which is that I love spending time with my own self, which I didn't know. Till this age, I thought, oh my God, I need to be with other people. So I found it very peaceful, meditative. I was very organized and active. I did my workout every single day. I was never lazy. I wrote scripts. And yeah, I had a really good year and enjoyed peaceful time.
That's great. And, I think I'll just start by asking you about the Panja Film Festival, which you're a part of. The kind of movies they're showing. And besides your film, also, there are so many other female directors whose work is being showcased. So, what do you feel about film festivals like these, especially Panda Film Festival? If you could tell us a little bit.
It is a really unique film festival, and I'm very pleased with it. I'm so happy to be in it. The reason it's unique is that most film festivals they only take contemporary work, right? So somebody
Right.
would want to take The Sky is Pink if we were in 2019 and not say, "Oh, can we have your first film?" This is unique in that what they're trying to do is take gems from our past of films like Amu, which people may not have seen
Yes.
because it's at a time they came out when there wasn't multiplexes and there wasn't that kind of release, so they've chosen films like that, like Frozen is another example, which people may not have seen but are lovely films and people should see. Number one. Number two, that it's online, so it's accessible and available to anybody for free from anywhere in the world. That's another unique thing,
Right.
right? Which is something that started during pandemic, but this is even it's set up like that as a festival itself, in collaboration with YouTube. And I think that makes it very accessible and reachable by a lot of people. So I love that a film as old as Amu, which is now over, 10 years old,
Yeah.
2004. So like, oh, sorry, it's 70, 16,
Yeah.
17 years old, is getting a new life, a new lease of life, thanks to Bandra Film Festival.
True. And talking about your film, can you share a little bit about how it was making a film like Amu back then? I'm guessing there was a lot of, it must not have been easy, so to speak, to make a film like that. So can
You,
you
you may
share a
not
little?
you may not have been born. You look so young. You must
I'm
have been a
born in
toddler.
92.
But you would have been, you were a little
Yes, yeah.
adolescent. You
Yep.
look really young. Um, it's very hard even now for somebody to make a debut film is extremely hard. There, why it was even harder is the multiplexes didn't exist. So
Correct.
today, the big difference in India is that because there's multiplexes and also platforms, that
Hmm.
you have two options that didn't exist for us at that time. You
True.
had to get a big star to get a single screen film, to film.
Film, yes.
To make a film which is on a difficult subject without a star, it's extremely difficult to get funding and then to get a release. I
Hmm.
was really lucky that I got a small release through Sham Shroff, through Shringar Films, but
Hmm.
only three prints. Like The Sky is Pink, I think, opened with 1,000 prints. That's
Yeah.
my third film, and my first film opened with three.
Three prints.
So it's so one in Delhi, one in Bombay, one in Kolkata. So, but it was amazing to be in a big theater and for people to be coming. It ran. Those three theaters ran houseful for 3 months, and that was very thrilling.
That's
But
pretty amazing.
really hard to make, really, really hard, incredibly hard.
How did you feel though, after all the hardships that you'd gone through to get your movie out there for people to watch? What was the feeling like?
Oh, so first, I think there's that terror when your very first screening is happening because as a debut film, you just feel like अगर किसी को पसंद ना आए
Hmm.
and family and friends will watch and बोले कि हाय क्या बकवास picture
Hmm.
बनाई है तुम्हारी and just that terror of your first film being out there. And I wanted to have that experience that I wanted to say that okay, I'm scared of making my first film, but if I fail,
Hmm.
I understand from that failure actually that I'm not cut out to be a filmmaker. I actually don't have the talent and whatever it takes. I will judge my own work, not
Hmm.
based on audience, and I will see. And if I think, oh no, you didn't manage to cut it. So when I finished the edit, I actually was in love with Amu. I loved the film I made. So I knew that okay, whether it succeeds or fails, I love it. I have a path, and whether audiences accept it or not. So then it becomes how audiences feel. And my very first screening, I got a standing ovation. And that was just, I could not believe it. It was in Berlin.
Yeah.
It was in the World Cinema category of the Berlin Film Festival. And there were 1,000 people, all Germans. It was German subtitled. And the end credits of Amu are 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
And the pin drop silence, and I held my breath, like I couldn't breathe. I was so scared. And I was like, why are they just silent? What's going to happen? And then they watched the entire end credits, which nobody does in an Indian theater, as you know. And then the whole 1,000 people stood up, and I got a standing, sustained ovation. Like, it was amazing. So I feel that to be to stand for your country in another country and to get international acclaim, I feel very proud as an Indian. I just, that was amazing. And when it released in theaters, the kind of responses when I would come, because the ushers knew in the theater in PR in Andheri, and I used to go, they knew that I would come. I would just surprise the audience, and they would put the mute on the end credits for 4 minutes and give me extra 6 minutes. I would have 10 minutes, and the theater manager would say, there's a surprise for you. And I would just go up there and say, hi, I'm Shonali Bose, I'm the filmmaker of Amu. And I would have no idea on the first time. Bombay mein aisa hua, the whole hall gave me a standing ovation. Like, just
so incredible
audience. Oh my God. And there were so many such screenings that people were just crying and hugging me. So it was really thrilling, really thrilling.
Sounds wonderful. I'm getting goosebumps. I feel like I was there, part of this memory. It seems so great. I mean, it must have been incredible for you. And Amu is such I don't think a lot of people would have picked up subjects like this. And even now, the kind of, stories you do are different. So I wanted to ask you, what is it that draws you to stories, Okay, this is what I love about it. Is there something like that you look at?
With Amu, it was very clear for me. This was my first film, that this is the story I had to tell, which is such a hard thing to take, because it's about a genocide and it's my debut. I should have chosen a romantic comedy. But I had worked in the relief camps and met the survivors of the 84 genocide. I knew the ins and outs of it. And when I graduated film school, nobody had touched the subject. And the subject impacted me hugely. I was 18 years old in first year college. It really hit me so hard that so many people were killed in the capital city in cold blood, that the police gave protection to the rioters, and things which we know today happening all around us. And we know it. At that time, it was, since partition, something so terrible for so many people had not happened, So I think it was a watershed in the country. No film, nothing was made. And then I realized, no wonder, because it was so hard for me to make it. Nobody wanted to touch it because Congress was still in power. Nobody wanted to give money for it. Everyone was scared, including the Sikh community. I realized, oh, no wonder nobody else has made a film about it. But I was driven. I was driven by the trauma that I witnessed firsthand and said, I need to tell this story. Even if I fail, I have to try to make this into a film. So that is what drove me for that story.
And we're glad that you made it. And it's out there for so many. I'm just when I was going through Amu and stuff that's written about it and stuff, I was so glad that there's a younger generation now, the Gen Z, so to speak, or even for us millennials. It is so nice to go back and watch something that touches a subject like that, which is so sadly so relevant to what's happening around us even now. So I think it's great that the Bandra Film Festival is bringing it back,
Yes.
As you said. And so, Shonali, I wanted to ask you, is there any advice or, any inspiration or something like that you want to share with the upcoming or aspiring directors, writers who look up to you, who want to be in this space?
I would say that it's very, very important to completely believe in yourself and have faith and be authentic, because I think the pressures that one comes under is that you always think of the box office and you think of the audience. And then what happens is you're not true to your own voice and your own story. What makes you unique as a filmmaker is actually your own authentic voice. And I've always tried very hard to be true to that voice and listen to that voice and not give in to the pressures of what I think an Indian audience may or may not like. And the audiences have surprised us time and time again when some major films with major stars have failed and small films have done amazingly, right? So we can't take our audiences for granted. So I think it's really important as creators to think about the fact that why are we in creation? Because it's good even to just say that, you know what, I'm in it to make money. Yeah, be my guest. I just want to tell you, it's really, really hard unless you're born into, a family that's connected in the film industry. It's really hard, but good luck to you if you want to do that. It's good to have clarity. I don't look down on somebody who wants to make money through the film industry. I'm just saying it's good to just have clarity and not pretend. So then you know what kind of work to take. So you just like, you know what? I think you can make a lot of money being a filmmaker. Personally, I don't think that, and that's been not my experience. But there are a lot of people who can, and I think that they have the connections and they can make a certain kind of film and they get it easy. For somebody, if you don't know anyone, that's not. I think maybe you're better off making money in the stock market or making money in being in construction or being in finance or being in any other industry than filmmaking. But be clear, if it is about making money and you just feel, no, this is the way I need to make money, go forward, go for it. Choose always light subjects, young subjects, have major stars. That seems to be a sort of way. If you're from the school that I am, where you are a creator because you love to create, you love to tell stories, just the way Indians, we from the history, like look at the Ramayana and Mahabharata, we have such lovely stories from our country. If you're a storyteller and you want to tell unique and different stories, then don't be afraid. You will get your chance. Don't be afraid. Be yourself and be true to yourself and be authentic. Have your creative voice.
That's so great. And like you said, that you will just follow your voice and you will find the audience. And right now, given how many OTT platforms are out there, I feel it is I mean, at least, do you think it is a good time for storytellers to take that chance? Because there's Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, there are so many different platforms who are taking this chance on younger storytellers, on new kinds of stories. How do you think that has impacted the way directors or writers write stories?
So unfortunately, just in the last 3, 4, I feel the pandemic year hasn't been necessarily terrific from this point of view, that as we're emerging out of the pandemic, two bad things have happened. One is OTT platforms feel that, oh, we need to be like the box office and people are coming out of depression of pandemic and we want to just do light and young things. So what started off where you could have cutting edge material and very different kind of material that they themselves were willing to show. Suddenly there's a change, and when we're approaching them with alternative kind of narratives and darker subjects, which you can see internationally, you see dark subjects do so well on OTT, but India doesn't want to touch that somehow. Secondly, the huge sudden censorship that is happening from the side of the government has really scared OTT and has scared creators as to what we can touch and what we cannot touch. And that is a crying shame, because we looked at OTT because there's no censorship, because our films are censored, that we can go on OTT. And I don't mean about nudity and about using bad words. I didn't find that something so great. Oh, that OTT pe hai, so then you can just use bad language and have nudity or things like that. I mean that you should be able to touch political subjects or sensitive subjects or issues to do with religion and politics and not be like the way Tandav got attacked and things like that. It's just outrageous and ridiculous. There's just no rhyme or reason. Bombay Begum's also got attacked, and it makes any creator feel really scared, because then the second season can't come out and things like that. That's just horrifying and shocking. What we face the censorship in the film industry is now happening with OTT.
OTT as well.
So that's the one on the grim side, because it was very positive, about 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, we were all really happy and excited. A little bit grim now, but I hope we will come through and out of it. Definitely, it is an opportunity because it gives you more avenues to get your work out there. So this not affects only writers and directors, but even actors, technicians. Everybody has much more work than they used to have earlier, it's a wonderful time to be a creator in the Indian film industry, no matter what aspect you are, having all these OTT platforms. Yes.
True. Okay. And okay, one last thing before I let you go, Shonali. I've always had this. I've always wondered about this, so I thought I'll ask you because you seem like a good person to ask this to. In Indian film industry, at least, there has been a bifurcation, between directors based on their gender. It's always directors and female directors. While there is a side that argues that it is necessary to make this distinction because female directors have not received that recognition before. So to highlight that this is a female director's work, you make that differentiation. But then there's also that side ki nahi hona chahiye. that gender there should be no discrimination between a person's work based on their gender. So where do you stand on this? Do we need that classification or we shouldn't?
I hate being called a woman director. I hate being called. I am a director.
Correct.
My gender is immaterial to this, and
Exactly.
that's why I also hate it when I'm constantly being questioned about that. Oh, as a woman filmmaker, what do you feel about about how women are treated in the industry? I was just like, ask the men. Don't ask me. And I find it irritating, and I don't like this classification. I don't like it if there's a separate award that women directors should get, because at
Yeah.
one time, Mami, the film festival, they were giving a separate award for women directors. And me and some other women directors, we stood up against this and said, no, their films are fantastic and they're capable of competing with male directors. We don't need to have a separate segregation that women directors and their films. Please, yeah, I'm very against it. I'm a director.
That's great. And we are glad you are. Thank you so much, Shonali, for taking out the time and doing this.
People who haven't seen Amu, Konkona Sen Sharma is in the lead, and it's not a sad, people may think, oh God, she's the Sky Spring director. It won't make you cry. Amu won't make you cry. It's a drama, and it's a sort of it's written like a mystery. And so it's not like heavy political film at all. It's actually entertaining. So I urge you to watch it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shonali. Bye-bye.